Hi, I'm Julie, and this is Captain David, and we're from the Online Fisherman. Today we're going to talk about loop knots.
A loop knot, very important to learn a loop knot. It'll make your fishing much more effective. I'm going to show you a loop knot now called the Canoe Man knot. It's basically a bowline. Really simple. You're just going to take your line and stick it through, or your leader, stick it through your hook or your lure. And you're going to make one counterclockwise loop. You'll make a second counterclockwise loop behind it. You'll swing one loop forward and then stick it through the front loop. You take your tag end, stick it through the rear loop, and now this is the most important part. The drawing of the knot is really important. You want to take your tag end and point it down towards your hook or your lure, and then take your main line or your main leader and pull up towards that, and it'll lock your loop knot, and there's your loop.
Well, Captain David, I don't use that as my loop knot. Is there another version?
There is, Julie. Matter of fact, most of the time when you buy a Rapala lure, there's a loop knot in there that Rapala calls theirs. They call it the Rapala knot, and I'll show you that because that is actually more common to use for most people and much easier to tie. So the first thing you're going to do with that is you're going to make a half hitch in your line, just like this. There's your half hitch. You're going to take your lure or your hook, and you're going to take your tag end, and you're going to stick it right through the eye of your lure or your hook. You're going to come back out and stick it through your half hitch again. You're going to wrap it around your line twice, take your tag end and stick it right back through the half hitch, and then pull. And there's your loop knot. That's a great loop knot to use. It's actually the most common loop knot to use, as you can see, and it's very easy to tie. If you go to theonlinefisherman.com, you can see that knot there, and you can see the Merle Chandler Canoe Man knot. These are two lures that Julie's holding. This one is a Zara Spook, which is one of the most common lures to use anywhere in the United States for fishing. And it's a walk the dog. It's got an action pull into it where you twitch it and it goes back and forth like you're walking a dog. It has a ring on the front. If you tied a loop knot to that, you'll have the full action of the lure in use while you're fishing, which is really important. The manufacturers make this lure to have a certain action. When you tie the loop knot, you'll have that action in the lure. If you tie a fisherman's knot or a clinch knot or a Palomar knot to this lure, what it does is it cinches down on this eye and it takes away the action of the lure. That's why you would use a loop knot. The only time you don't have to use a loop knot is if your fishing lure has a ring on it. Thank you, Julie. If it has a ring on it, a split ring eye, that ring acts as your loop. So you can tie any knot you want on this lure. If you're using hooks, like I have in my pocket here, whether it be a circle hook or a J hook, which I'm holding here. In my right hand, I'm holding a circle hook. Left hand, I'm holding a J hook. Circle hook in my left hand. You want to tie a loop knot to these. When you put a live bait on there, the live bait has to be presented as naturally as possible. If you tie a loop knot on there, it will let the bait swim wherever it wants, left or right, up or down. If you tie any knot that restricts the bait from swimming, it's stiff, it looks unnatural, and the fish are unlikely to hit it.